Welcome to the second part of this travel series to Montenegro as we head to the Bay of Kotor. Surrounded by dramatic mountains and dotted with historic towns, the Bay of Kotor combines history and natural beauty. Join me as we explore the sights and activities over the next 3 days. So this morning I've come out to the small town of Perast, and yeah, this is a lovely small town in the Bay of Kotor. Really characterful, very historic buildings. So I'm walking along the front here. I get some great views overlooking the bay. And there's actually 2 small islands. Not sure if they're natural or man-made, but hopefully tomorrow I think we'll probably go on a boat trip, and you can actually dock out those islands and have a little walk around. Also be nice just to sort of see the bay from the boat. So yeah, looking forward to that. But this morning just having a gentle stroll, beating the crowds here. It does get a bit busy and parking is a bit disorganised to say the least, so it's probably best to do that at this time anyway. The only gripe from a photographic point of view I have is that at sunrise and sunset you're not really getting direct sunlight, because the sort of the mountains kind of block out at least the first couple of hours. So it's a bit frustrating from a photographic point of view. Of the plan for today, our accommodation isn't too far away from the centre of Kotor, so the old town. So I think we're going to explore that later this morning. But other than that, I think we'll play it by how we feel. As we headed closer to the old city, we got our first glimpse of the city walls, and it wasn't long before we were marvelling at the impressive buildings. A lovely visit to the old city, and I really enjoyed it. To be honest, I was actually surprised how compact it was, and it didn't take very long to explore most of the old city. So we finished up in the old town. Really cool place, very walkable. Managed to get some nice photos as well. We also stopped for a nice drink in the main square. What we're going to do now is there's quite a nice restaurant that's really picturesque. It's a nice setting. We're going to go there, have some lunch, and yeah, we're sort of debating what to do the next couple of days. We're thinking maybe doing a boat tour tomorrow. Apparently there's obviously cruise ships that come in every other day, and obviously that offloads a load of tourists, which makes everything quite busy. There's one coming tomorrow, but what the guy was saying is if we do it later in the day, it's not as busy when you do the different stopovers. We finished up with a stroll along the bay.
We then headed to a restaurant called Stari Blini, located midway between Kotor and Perast. I suppose this is quite a well-known restaurant in the area and is renowned for its picturesque setting and seafood cuisine. To be honest, it is quite expensive here, but we saw it as our big treat on this trip, and plenty of the reviews online said it was a really good experience. We ended up having the baked octopus, and it was very good. I'm not the biggest fan of seafood, but I have to admit this was delicious. Overall, I have to say this was a brilliant experience and we both really enjoyed it. Later in the afternoon, we headed back to the Old City to do part of the Ladder of Kotor hiking trail, which gives you a brilliant view of the Old City and the surroundings. I say part of the trail as we just wanted to get to the viewpoint, but there is a much longer route you can do. Well, we've made it to the top of the, I think it's the fortress they call it. And as you can probably tell, very hot, very sweaty. Not because it's a typical hike, just because it's really, really hot. And because we're on this side of the cliff. It's been in the sun all day. After the walk, I went for a dip in the bay to cool off, and we then headed back to the accommodation. It's worth mentioning that we're actually travelling the second week of September, which is technically the shoulder season, so just outside the peak months of June, July and August. And we did that for a couple of reasons. The first one being that it's obviously not as busy. The second reason, it's a nice temperature and generally you within a good chance of getting good weather. And then thirdly, the sea is really warm this time of year. It's obviously had the whole summer to warm up. Just wandering the streets of the old town this morning. Got up early and yeah, wanted to beat the crowds. Also took the camera with me, and yeah, I didn't really have any idea of what I wanted to photograph. Normally I have like one subject or one location that I want to go to. I saw the main square from yesterday looked quite cool, but I quite enjoyed just sort of wandering the streets really. Reminds me a lot of Venice, in that you can just sort of spend quite a bit of time, you know, going and wandering through the streets. But yeah, love the architecture. You can definitely see the Venetian style. Later that morning, we decided to drive up to the mountains in search of the spectacular views of the bay. So we've driven up the switchback roads up the side of the mountain to get a view of Kotor in the bay, and it is really stunning. We've come to this cafe restaurant, I think it is, I believe it's called Horizont, and we saw this viewpoint online, I think it was through Instagram or something, and it looked like quite a cool place to get some good photos, so definitely worth checking out, and it is incredible, really amazing. They've got like a platform where you can get some photos and yeah, sit and have a drink and things. Really amazing, definitely recommend it. I think it does get quite busy at sunset, and I can imagine it is a good sunset location just because of where the sun sets. But we've come up here, I think it's about 11 o'clock, it's not too busy. Before the mountain road got too busy, we made our way to the small town of Rose. I couldn't find out much information about this place before the trip, but I saw a couple of nice images of the small bay here, so I thought it was worth a visit. Unfortunately, we didn't have long here as we had to head back to Kotor to make it in time for our boat trip. We then got on the small but very fast boat. After I passed by the island of St George, we docked on the other small island, Our Lady of the Rocks. This small island just has a church on it, so there isn't a great deal to do here, but I did enjoy it and I found a couple of nice images. We then stopped off at disused submarine tunnel, which was built by the Yugoslav Navy and used between the 1950s and 1992. It was used as a hideout to shelter from enemy air raids and actually used fake rocks to camouflage the entrance. Apparently there are a few other tunnels dotted along this coastline. We then arrived at the Blue Cave where we would be able to go for a swim. It was very pretty, but it was a bit overcrowded with a few other boats, so our guide suggested to first visit another nearby cave before then coming back. We then headed back to Kotor as we watched the setting sun. So, good morning, and I've made my way up the ladder Kotor, and yeah, my main aim today was to get a blue hour shot of where we went to a couple of days ago. Yeah, I just thought it was a great scene, but the time of day that we went, it didn't really work, so I thought early in the morning would be best. So today is our last day in Kotor. We're gonna hit the road quite early and make our way to Dubrovnik. I have read online that the border crossing can get quite busy, more so in the height of summer, so July and August. We're obviously in September, so I'm hoping it won't be too bad. Hopefully it goes smoothly, but you never know with these things. Overall impressions of Kotor, it's been really cool. Definitely one of those places that's not like your typical kind of European destination. There is surprisingly quite a bit to do here. I'm not sure I could necessarily spend a week here, but 2 to 3 days is probably a good amount of time. It gives you enough time to explore the old town and do a boat tour or something, and also sort of spend some time exploring the local area. And that wraps up the second part of this trip. Thanks for watching.
In the next episode, we'll be crossing the border into Croatia and making our way to Dubrovnik.